What could a PGA Tour LIV relationship potentially look like? Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of On Tour with Jon McCarthy, presented by Callaway. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun national golf writer Jon McCarthy. And we're still a ways away from the PGA Tour and LIV Golf potentially getting a merger deal done, but it is fun to think about what the future could look like for pro golf if it does happen. Jon, I understand you've been putting a lot of thought into this. What have you come up with?
Yeah, the future of golf is maybe a little closer on our horizon, and I've been thinking about it, and I've even come up with my moonshot pie in the sky scenario to solve all of golf's problems, but we'll get to that in a second. Right now, it does look like there's potential for some resolution here. In recent weeks, we have the PGA Tour coming up with a $3 billion deal with a bunch of the Titans of American sports. Strategic Sports Group is the name of the investment group. It's a bunch of NFL and MLB owners, and they've agreed to inject $3 billion into the PGA Tour. Half of that money will go directly to the players as owners of this new PGA Tour enterprise. And what that will do is it'll pay off the PGA Tour's top players, the guys that didn't bolt for LIV, and make it less likely that more players, they hope, would leave for LIV Golf. But what that doesn't eliminate is a potential deal with the Saudi PIF, the owners of LIV Golf. The PGA Tour has said they're still in negotiations. The original deadline for a deal with them was December 31st, but they agreed to extend it. And by all accounts, it looks like there could be a deal by springtime. And what that deal will look like is what I've been thinking about. I guess the first scenario is there's no deal. And that is a potential now because the PGA Tour, flush with $3 billion cash, might get back to some of that arrogance that got them into this situation in the first place. And Jordan Spieth even said as much last week at Pebble Beach. He said, I don't know if we need a deal anymore. So there is a chance that the people on the PGA Tour, the players remaining, will decide that we can do this alone, and that would be bad for fans because we'd be stuck in this scenario of a fractured golf landscape. And eventually you just be waiting to see which side blinks first. So we're hoping for, I'm not hoping for that because that would be more of the same what we've had right now. What I am hoping for is a deal between the two, and that could go a few scenarios afterwards. One would be a reimagined global world tour. Rory McIlroy's spoken about this. He sort of envisions a Champions League soccer kind of style with the top players from every tour playing this sort of global Champions League. I'm not sure how feasible that is. I mean, if the PGA Tour is flush with, say, $3 billion from SSG and $3 billion from PIF, I don't think they're going to agree to be the feeder tour into anything. So that scenario, while possible, it also means a lot of scheduling and logistical problems. It would be an overhaul I'm not sure the leadership of golf is capable of pulling off successfully. Which gets me to my moonshot pie in the sky scenario. I call this the friends with benefits idea. And what that is the PGA Tour continues to exist much like it has now. LIV Golf continues to exist like it has for these past 2.5 years. But what you have is some crossover between the two. So for the biggest problem for LIV Golf for me is I'm trying to figure out why I care about this team competition that they keep pumping. And it's who cares if the fireballs are on the podium. But what if you were to put 2 PGA Tour teams into every LIV event? So we'll call them PGA Tour 1 and PGA Tour 2. So you have 8 PGA Tour players in every LIV event. Maybe you could have 4 from like sponsors exemptions or even that player impact popularity contest, and then 4 guys that qualify from like the previous signature event. Either way, you get 8 PGA Tour players into each LIV event, 2 teams. So all of a sudden, I think you would have some pretty dramatic competition with teams from the PGA Tour trying to do battle with LIV teams. It would be another avenue for PGA Tour players to get even richer with so the purses on the LIV Golf. And then conversely, at PGA Tour events, at the signature events, maybe you have 8 spots for LIV players. So you could do it the same way, 4 sponsors exemptions and maybe the top 4 finishers from the previous LIV event. But all of a sudden, you're bringing 8 of the world's best players back onto the PGA Tour at their big events. It would be good for the fans. It would be good for competition. And you'd end up with LIV golfers, PGA Tour golfers playing in the same tournaments, but it's something that you could possibly implement, next year. It wouldn't take a full reimagining of the world of golf. So that's my pie in the sky idea, how to solve golf's problems. I'm not sure if anyone's at PGA Tour headquarters is listening, but I have a back of a napkin I can send them if they want it.
I like it. I mean, there's a lot of intrigue, like you said, there, where you've got players showing up on both different tours and stirring things up and making things interesting. But if you have any thoughts on what you would do to help out this relationship, let us know in the comments section below. You can find all of Jon's golf coverage at the Toronto Sun.